Now that the 2022 season is over halfway to completion, we have now got a good idea how each team is going to perform in real life. As FIFA players, I'm sure every single one of us takes at least some interest in real life football, and the one thing we love even more than football is a good FIFA career mode rebuild. Putting these two things together, there are some massive clubs that are underperforming in real life. We can save them in the virtual world. Whether you're a fan or not, I'm sure everyone's got an opinion on exactly what would fix each team. I know that I do. Thanks to the help of my Discord community link in the description below, I've collected a bunch of teams that need rebuilds based on their real life performances so that you can get a head start on your next FIFA career mode save. Rather than splitting the video up into separate parts for each team, we'll actually split the video based on the type of rebuild that they need. So first of all, we'll be starting with the fastest kind of rebuild, one based on spending lots of cash in the transfer market to instantly improve your squad. As you'd expect, with a rebuild that requires a lot of money, we'll be looking at teams in two of the richest leagues in the world. In this case, we're looking at Chelsea and Valencia. Of course, the Chelsea team is notoriously unbalanced. The entire left side of the team is very strong, the right side could use some improvement. Beyond this obvious point that you can make looking at the squad straight away, having an Enzo and Declan Rice pivot with Nkunku and a true big striker ahead of them would give Chelsea a few more places in the league. Maybe consider signing someone like Vlahovic, Rice and Lavia, or a new right midfielder to begin your rebuild, and judge the rest of your team after you've played a few matches with them. I don't think we actually need to talk about Chelsea that much. They're one of the biggest teams in the world and everyone knows about their squad. But what makes Valencia so fun for a big name rebuild? Well, they no longer have four of Spain's hottest prospects starting like they did 20 years ago. Instead, they've got an owner that doesn't care about the team, a squad that seems to get worse every single FIFA, and quite a lot of debt. This might sound like quite a bad career mode save for this kind of rebuild, but actually every one of these things is a reason to pick Valencia over Chelsea. While Chelsea start out with a big budget and a squad that's basically ready to compete for titles, with Valencia, you'll actually need to create a takeover by increasing the budget before you start your save. As one of Spain's big clubs, maybe give yourself about 100 million and try and redevelop every aspect of the team in Season 1. These big money rebuilds will be fun for a couple of seasons, but I think you should be trying one of the other types of rebuild you can actually do in FIFA career mode. Nonetheless, buying the exact player you think will fix a team is undeniably fun. On the other hand, we have a few teams that are maybe less rich, but they do still need a total rebuild on FIFA. While you can generate a decent amount of money by selling existing players in the squad, the chances are it will take you a few seasons to fully rebuild these two teams. For the longer rebuilds, I'm recommending you look at Schalke 04 and Vitesse in Holland. With Schalke's limited funds, you have to stay up in the Bundesliga and try and rebuild the squad from Season 1 onwards. The most recent Schalke transfers have either been loans, free transfers, or really cheap deals. In fact, the highest they've spent over the last 5 years is 1.8 million. I'm doing a save on my other channel with Lincoln City, and I can tell you I got more budget than this in my first season. That means you're trying to compete in one of the hardest leagues in the world while using a budget that's more suited to a third division team. Vitesse's situation is a little bit different. After they agreed to become a feeder team for Chelsea, they had a constant string of top quality loanees moving to Holland. You had Mason Mount, Dom Solanke and Nemanja Matic, all helping Vitesse progress without spending too much money. Since both Vitesse and Chelsea have lost their Russian owners in the last year, the link has basically become terminated. This means that you'll have to rely on signing players from the lower leagues of France and Germany, while also trying to restart the academy that was underused for the past decade. I think both teams should be looking at players in similar leagues. You've got the other Dutch teams for Vitesse, you've got the second Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga, the Belgian league. Specifically, look for players that are cheap, maybe decent or good, but still have low values, or not getting enough game time so they have been transfer listed by the AI. Usually Schalke have also taken players on loan to buy from the Premier League, La Liga and Ligue 1, and again try and look for players with not a lot of game time, that are hot prospects, that are cheap to eventually buy if you loan them in, or underrated players that have really good stats in certain areas but haven't got the best overall ratings. Overall ratings are basically the only thing that's the difference between Vitesse and Schalke. If you prefer signing lots of talented players, you'll probably be drawn to Schalke, but of course this comes with higher fees and your budget isn't actually that different. Vitesse should be the easier team to rebuild in a slightly less talented league, but it's up to you which team that you pick. With both teams really struggling financially recently, both teams have let lots of key players walk away on cheap deals, so you should be looking for players that played for either your manager's former teams, bigger teams in the league that are maybe getting older, and maybe trying to set up a top-class youth academy as soon as possible. Youth academies are actually really underrated when it comes to rebuild. Not only can they produce hundreds of players a season if you've got the right scouts, but they do save you budget every single year. Think about a real life squad. You'll have 15 players that are usually purchased from other teams, and then a backup set of 10 players that are often academy graduates. By investing in your youth academy early on, you can actually get this core of players ready to back up your first team, while maybe even having a few that will progress to be starters. These kind of rebuilds are actually my favourite to do, where you spend a tiny amount of budget on new players and instead spend all your money trying to improve your youth academy scouts as fast as possible. For example, the youth academy at AS Saint Etienne has produced several notable players over the year. Laurent Blanc, Didier Deschamps and Michel Platini are all former players who came through this academy. More recently, William Saliba, Wesley Fofana, Kurt Zouma, Bafétimbi Gomis and Blaise Matuidi all wore the famous green kit at youth level. Despite this incredible record, Saint Etienne are currently actually in the bottom quarter of Ligue 2. If you think you need a slightly bigger budget to buy some youth, I can also recommend VfB Stuttgart. Some of the Bundesliga's biggest talents of the past decade have come through the academy here. Kimmich, Khedira, Werner, Mario Gomez and Benjamin Pavard all spent time as one of the Bundesliga's next upcoming talents while playing for Stuttgart. Back over to France though, the situation at Saint Etienne is what makes them the best youth-focused rebuild in career mode at the moment. You start off in a really good position in the second division. Saint Etienne have the best squad in the league by 2 or 3 overall points, and a squad full of high potential players with a decent budget that you can spend on youth scouts. For the first season, you should be trying to win promotion, while giving as much time to your young players as possible. Try to bring through as many physically strong French and African players to give you a young squad that can compete when you get back to Ligue 1. In comparison to AS Saint Etienne, VfB Stuttgart are simply trying to stay in the Bundesliga while developing youth with a focus on data-driven development. The club invested heavily into their academy, they've got a state-of-the-art training centre that only opened 3 years ago, and focus on developing young talent as much as they can. While Saint Etienne has produced some of the best players in French football history, Stuttgart's recent approach has actually helped them produce more top players who are actually playing at an international level. It's up to you which team you pick. You've got the more modern Stuttgart, you've got the more traditional Saint Etienne. If you want a different kind of rebuild, you've got big spending Chelsea versus the faltering Valencia, you've got the crumbling Schalke or the desperate Vitesse. Whichever team you pick, I know you'll have fun rebuilding one of these 6 teams that really need your help on FIFA Career Mode. On screen right now is 2 videos I think you'd like. Why not watch my series where I realistically rebuilt Manchester United, or this playlist that's got similar videos to the one that you've just watched. Thank you for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you back here soon. Cheers.